Hello, and welcome to another episode of Space Marine Legions Explained. Today we have one of my favourite and most underrated, the Iron Hands. 10th Legiones Astartes, Iron Hands. Renowned for their pride, their cold-hearted ferocity, and their utter remorselessness in battle, the Iron Hands were the hammer that shattered countless foes in the Emperor's quest to liberate mankind from the darkness of old night. Their Primarch was Ferrus Manus, a bellicose and uncompromising warlord and peerless weaponsmith, from whom the 10th Legion took its name, and whose every command was to them inviolate law. Caught up in the machinations of the War Master's treachery, the Legion was undone by hubris and the blade of traitor both, and paid a heavy price in the brutal slaying of its Primarch and the near crippling of its strength. Though left a shattered legion, the cold fury of the Iron Hands' bitter vengeance would afterwards be writ across the very stars. Primogenitor, Ferrus Manus, also known as the Gorgon. Cognomen, Prior, non-officially recognized, informally the Iron 10th. Note that the cognomen Stormwalker was gradually gaining de facto use immediately prior to contact with their Primarch, but was quickly extinguished in favour of the Iron Hands. Observed strategic tendencies, armoured and high-intensity warfare, line-breaker attacks, planetary pacification and suppression campaigns, anti-material operations. Noteworthy domains: the Medusa system, primary, 16 other systems held in tributary fiefdom at the closure of the Great Crusade, numerous independently operated outpost way stations and holdfasts established. Full number of positions remains unknown. Allegiance, Fidelitas Constantus. Warriors of Albia. The martial history of the 10th Legion is relatively well documented. It primarily drew recruits from the warlike culture of Old Albia, renowned for their brutality, which lent the nascent 10th a fierce warrior pride. In the first years of the Great Crusade, the Legion earned great renown for its bellicose strategies, pioneering combined arms method of war in conjunction with Exertus Imperialis, known as the Hammer and the Storm. This was developed and put to great use against the Xenos Orcs on the planet known as Rust, but was used by the 10th Legion many times. First, the Imperialis Auxilia forces would make planetfall en masse via the brute power of their landing ships, digging into their beachhead. This was the Storm. When the enemy came to meet them in numbers almost beyond count, came the Hammer, the armoured spearhead of the 10th Legion's tanks, with dreadnoughts and warriors on foot following close behind to break the enemy's back. The hammer blow earned many great victories for the 10th Legion during the Great Crusade. The Legion gained much renown for its cooperation with the Imperial Army, its effective leadership and its strategic prowess. The 10th went to earn a reputation for remorselessness, highly coordinated warfare, and a particular fame for successfully prosecuting set-piece battles incorporating close armoured vehicle support was attributed to the Legion. A perfect instrument of war. As is perhaps unsurprising in so calculating and methodical a master as Ferrus Manus, the Iron Hands Legion was a highly structured military force, with numerous tactical and strategic divisions of power and organizations within its ranks. The Iron Hands Legion was deliberately composed of a series of interlocking components, each with its own specialization, duties, and chain of command, beholden only to itself and its immediate superiors. Each of these components, be they legionary squad, armoured vehicle squadron, or support element, came together first as companies, but beyond this, each company was a part of a larger grouping with its own independent command, support and logistical network, armory and fleet created for a particular campaign or battle. These formations were referred to as orders and were superficially equivalent to a specialized battalion in general Legiones Astartes terms, but far more concrete in composition and independent in operation. Multiple orders were then often formed in larger single clan groupings, and sometimes units from different clans fought together within them, often as rivals for glory and achievement. Clans were notionally the Iron Hands equivalent of the chapters of the legions, but were in practice of distinct character, being patterned to a larger extent on the Medusan feudal system and were linked to the planet's nomadic barbarian populations as recruiting bases. These Iron Hands clans were in fact pocket legions, fully self-sufficient and self-supplied, and each had a single chieftain, Iron Lord or Iron Father to rule them by Primarch given right. Each clan had a very real and distinct identity, and each vied against each other for glory, attainment, and for resources, as well as for the favour of their Primarch. Where a warrior of clans failed their legion or their Primarch, they were offered a forlorn hope to be separated from their clan and serve the legion at the very fiercest point of battle as an immortal, to die with steadfast courage and cold fury. The level of integration and strength the Iron Hands Legion system manifested was extraordinary, if somewhat inflexible. Whether deployed as a single company or a full legion in scale, it was a crushing leviathan when in action against which no foe could stand, but also at times brutally intractable and slow to change course through its single-minded pursuit of its starting objectives. The Legion maintained a particularly extensive and sophisticated arsenal of war engines, especially tanks, armoured vehicles and dreadnought walkers, the equal of any legion save perhaps Perturabo's fourth. Thanks to long-standing ties to the elements of the Mechanicum and the technological aptitude displayed by many of its number, the Legion maintained access to numerous cybernetic implant systems seldom seen outside the ranks of the machine cult. It is also worthy of note that the Iron Hands Legion and its master Ferrus Manus was at the forefront of the introduction of a number of weapon systems and armor patterns over the course of the Great Crusade. The fruits of some, such as their contribution of the prototype Indomitus pattern to the tactical dreadnought armor project used by their Gorgon Terminator Elite, and the powerful Stormbreaker pattern Thunderhammer, would later be widely disseminated to the rest of the legions. Many patterns and creations they shared with their trusted allies amongst the Mechanicum, while the secrets of certain other weapons and metallurgic and cybermantic crafts, particularly those dangers of Old Night recovered during the Great Crusade, they kept in Ferrus Manus' secret vaults of Mimir. At the very onset of the Horus Heresy, Ferrus Manus and his legion were drawn into the trap set by Horus and his traitor legions, and their once bright legacy was almost entirely extinguished. Ferrus was slain, and this wrought a terrible legacy on the legion's psyche, for they believed unquestionably in his inviolate power. A bitter psychosis swept through the ranks of the Iron Hands, for if the Primarch's flesh had failed him, surely that of his sons would fail them in turn. Others would look to the technology sealed away by Ferrus Manus, unleashing terrible cybernetic nanite plagues and revivifying their own dead in a process known as turning the keys of hell. A fractured, shattered legion would remain of the Iron Tenth, one whose rigidity would fail and give way to malleability and an unceasing quest for vengeance. The Primarch, Ferrus Manus. The Primarch Ferrus Manus, known as the Gorgon and blessed with arms of living metal which gave his legion its name, was among the first of the Emperor's lost sons to be discovered. He was found on Medusa, a cold, barren realm, driven for countless generations to incessant clan warfare through privation and hardship. Medusa maintained a great deal of mechanical and technological lore, though it was little understood by its superstitious denizens. Ferrus Manus displayed an uncompromising intelligence and aptitude towards mastery of technology and the forging of Medusa's sciences, and rose quickly to prominence to unite the clans. Ferrus Manus' transition from planetary warlord to general of the Great Crusade was a swift one, aided by his evident hunger for the task of galactic conquest set before him and his diligent application to this greater calling. When reunited with his legion, he took command of its body and soul, renaming it and remaking it in his image. The Primarch assessed the 10th Legion with the precision and intent with which an artisan might deconstruct a mechanical chronograph, reconfigure its components and reassemble it in a fashion more to his liking. Ferrus Manus and his legion cared little for the minutiae and bureaucracy of the Great Crusade. They saw their task as a clear one, to expand the borders of the Imperium and to destroy its enemies, nothing more. They disdained the politics of the imperial court and the pursuit of glory as pretty trifles, and left the task of rebuilding what they had shattered to those better suited to the task. When once asked of his legion's role in the Great Crusade, Ferrus Manus is held to have simply stated, "Make war, and move on, and again, until nothing breathes which stands against us. All else is sophistry and pretty lies." This has been the Iron Hands of the Great Crusade. Thank you for watching.